Okay, welcome back. So we've covered the menu bar and the toolbar and signing in. Next, we're going to cover the sidebar. And as you can see, it's missing. Where is it? Well, again, I've hidden it here. No big deal. So just unhide it. You can also see it looks pretty different. And that is because I have minimized some of it. So there are three functions on the toolbar: search, places, and layers. So let's start with search, and let's search for Statue of Liberty. And it finds it there. And let's go take a look at the Statue of Liberty. And there she is. So that's pretty intuitive there. What I can do when I have something that I've searched is I can come down here, and if I can get it to highlight, copy the current search results to my places. Let's click on that, and you see that it didn't do anything, but if we open up my places and scroll down, you'll see there it is. Statue of Liberty is now in my places. Okay, that's search. Now we're going to switch gears and do get directions. So that's pretty simple. Just click on there and let's check out Los Angeles to New York. And it's going to think here for a second. And it's backed out, but it does not seem like it's done anything. Well, what's going on? I'm not quite sure. I don't see a route anywhere. Well, what you need to do is come over here again and copy the current search results to my places. And look at there. There's the route. Now, what is this straight line and this straight line? What is going on there? Well, I'll show you what's going on there. And you'll be able to see it when you rotate the globe. Okay, you see it come into view there completely, and you might say, well, maybe that's the airline flight direct, right? What that would direct route that would take. Well, actually it's not. What it is literally a straight line through. If you rotate the globe, you can see it goes through, and it's literally a straight line through the earth. Okay, obviously not a practical route to take. Good luck with that. But anyway, you see two routes here. What's going on there? Well, let's go into my places. You know, we can actually shut down the directions now that we have copied that to my places. And here it is. And it's right here. And if we expand this down a little bit, we'll see multiple routes there. And if we unhide them and check them one at a time, we'll see there's the driving route and there's the straight line route. And there's both of them showing together. So I've highlighted both of them. You'll see that in Google Earth. It will give you multiple routes for directions, and you can just choose which one you want. And if you don't want one, let's delete this one. We're never going to take that route, so let's delete it. So if you right click on it, brings up the additional menu, asks you if you really want to delete it, and there it's gone. Okay, so that's directions and a little bit of introduction to my places. Now I keep talking about my places. What is my places? Well, it's pretty, I guess it's fairly intuitive. My places is the places that are saved to your account or your session. I don't want to even say your session because it's actually saved to your hard drive. Now, like I said earlier, if you're logged in, it's saving it to your profile as well, so that you'll be able to pull up my places on another computer. Now, it's more than just places. You'll see in here, so here is a place mark for the Coeur d'Alene Resort that you've seen previously. And it is just that, it's a place, right? you'll also see, here's that tour of Coeur d'Alene, Spokane Falls, and Hong Kong. So not only is it a place for places, but it's a place for tours and directions and routes and place marks. Basically everything that you save to Google Earth ends up in My Places, okay? So it's just a repository. And like I said, it is saved on your local drive, and you'll need to make sure to save it often. In fact, let's do that right now. Save My Places. Okay, that was just a brief introduction to My Places. I'm going to go into a lot more detail in My Places in another video. But before we do that, let's talk about layers. So what are layers? If I expand this here, it becomes pretty obvious what layers are. So they are different characteristics or attributes that you want to show in Google Earth. So for example, if I turn off roads, boom, there they go, they're gone, right? Let's turn on the ocean. So we've got different entities within the ocean. I don't particularly care about that. We can turn on the weather. Oh, there we go. So we got some clouds in the region. I don't know if that's real time or not, honestly. We can turn that off and turn that on. Let's go back to Coeur d'Alene Resort and show you what it looks like with 3D buildings turned on versus turned off. Okay, so a lot more interesting looking 3D buildings turned on. Obviously, not all buildings are going to be showing, but in populated areas, certainly there will be in a lot of cases. Okay, borders and labels. I show some, but not all. So you can see the state line right here. So here's the state line between Washington and Idaho. If we expand borders, labels, we can get really detailed into some of the attributes that we want to show or not show. So that's just the level of detail that I've chose to show. I want to see some roads and some detail within cities and so forth, but not a lot, right? So this is just my personal preferences that I've set up. The other thing I want to show you is terrain. So again, let's go back to Coeur d'Alene Resort. And right here you can see trees and whatnot showing, or I'm sorry, the hill showing here. So if we turn terrain off, it just kind of makes the whole earth flat. That's pretty intuitive. Obviously it looks a lot more interesting with the terrain showing. This is Tubbs Hill next to the Coeur d'Alene Resort. Here's our floating green, famous floating golf green out in Lake Coeur d'Alene. Anyway, so obviously a lot more interesting. If we go into, I think it's 3D buildings. Yes, here they are. You can turn trees on and off. Obviously it looks a lot more interesting. And you might hear a little background noise. Let me show you why. This is Honey Bear. Say hi to everybody, Honey Bear. And she's feeling a little lonely, so I brought her in here with me. All right, I'll put you back down. Okay, so that's kind of a introduction to layers. You can play around with it. There's many different options within each of these. It's actually pretty entertaining. If you're needing to pass some time someday, you can come in here and see a lot of different options and pieces of data that are available to us. Pretty handy. Anyway, that's an introduction to layers. This is how I like to show it. If you want to know what my settings are, here they are. So I show roads, 3D buildings, all 3D buildings, and all of terrain. The only options I have here are in my borders. I show international borders, country names, first level admin borders, and first level admin names. And then for labels, I show populated places, so large cities basically. So that's all I have selected. And that just kind of gives a general idea of where you're at, but doesn't just really fill up the view with all kinds of distracting information. So that's layers, and on to the next video where we will cover navigation controls. See you soon.